Hello and welcome to an all-new Marvel cast, Explosion Network's hub of all things Marvel. A place to talk about everything MCU and beyond, from Avengers and Defenders to Crimson Dynamo and Darkstar. My name's Ashley Hobley, the Explosion Network's resident Red Guardian, and joining me today, also Ciaran Marchant.
Das Vidania, boys.
And the astonishing Neil Blight.
Can't believe that this is the first Marvel movie we've had in 10 years, everyone.
It certainly has felt like 10 years.
Can I check your math on that one? Because I feel like if there's like maybe you've carried the 2 or something. I don't know.
At least 2 years, I think. I don't know exactly when Far From Home dropped.
Far From Home
might have been later in July.
It was like mid 2019, right?
Yeah. So it's very possible. But yes, finally we're here. We're talking about Black Widow.
Before I was an Avenger, I made mistakes. And a lot of enemies.
His call sign's Taskmaster. He controls the Red Room. They're manipulated, fully conscious, but no choices.
I should have come back for you. How many others are there?
Enough.
We have to go back to where it all started. So they never do that to anyone again.
We're a family. We fight with you.
You won't win.
I've always found it best not to look into the past.
Okay, you got a plan, or shall I just stay duck and cover?
My plan was to drive us away.
Well, your plan sucks.
Directed by Cate Shortland. Screenplay by Eric Pearson. Story by Jack Schaeffer and Ned Benson. Based on Black Widow by Stan Lee, Don Rico, and Don Heck. Starring Scarlett Johansson, Florence Pugh, David Harbour, O.T. Fagbenle, William Hurt, Ray Winstone, and Rachel Weisz. Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow, confronts the darker parts of her ledger when a dangerous conspiracy with ties to her past arises. Pursued by a force that will stop at nothing to bring her down, Natasha must deal with her history as a spy and the broken relationships she left in her wake long before she became an Avenger. Obviously, Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson debuted back in Iron Man 2. So, 11 years ago, 2010. 2010. Dylan, was the wait worth it for a Black Widow solid movie?
Yes and no. So it was enjoyable to watch a Marvel movie on the big screen again. That is where I'll start with this. This movie is just trying so hard to do stuff that this movie shouldn't be coming out now. This movie should have came out like 6 years ago, or 5-6 years ago, or something like that, and it probably would have been a lot better, because instead they finally decided to give Natasha her own movie and try and give this character the well-deserved solo movie that she deserved, and fill in some of her backstory and allow her to have some actual character moments that she just doesn't get because she's always in these huge ensemble pieces. But a lot of it just feels a little too late. It's just, you know where her story ends, you know where a lot of these things are going, ultimately the movie ends up feeling, I went into it thinking it was going to be a Black Widow celebration movie and have this grand big piece, at the end about celebrating the character, and it was really going to be Natasha's movie and really hit home how great of a character she is and all how she deserved better and all this. But really, it's a passing of the baton to her, her sister in the film, and thank God for Florence Pugh, who I think carries this movie. Not to say everyone else is bad in the movie, but I think that the reason to watch this movie is Florence Pugh, and I think you should be excited about the future of Black Widow, I guess, because they're definitely going to do, and we'll get into the sequels and all that stuff, I'm sure, but it's they're definitely setting her up to carry that mantle forward, and this movie ultimately feels like it's trying to do several things. Give Scarlett Johansson chance to do a solo movie, give Natasha Romanoff a solo character movie that she should have got so long ago, and they've waited this long, and they try and do that. They're also trying to explain some sort of political stuff that happened between Civil War and Infinity War, and like, how did these characters get here, who got them out of prison, blah, 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 all this sort of stuff. They're trying to do that. They're also trying to explain some of Natasha's history that we never got. And ultimately, I think the main thing they're trying to do is set up the future of the Black Widow character and what that character does and who's going to take that over now that she died in Endgame, of course. So the movie just feels like bit hit and miss for me. My favorite parts are just the family dynamic stuff. That is all fantastic. I couldn't really get on board the Red Room main, if you want to call it spy or whatever it is, like espionage stuff. All of that was just like pretty cookie cutter meh. None of the fight scenes were particularly exciting. I was disappointed in the hand-to-hand combat, considering that's Natasha's strong point, and I felt like the fights were a bit of a letdown. So the movie is at its best when people are literally just talking to one another, and then when they begin fighting, I was like, all right, get to the next talkie scene. So yeah, to me, it was an okay Marvel movie that maybe isn't all the fault of the writers and director, and more so of Marvel deciding to do this movie after the character's already died and have it be both the start of the next the next phase of Marvel and the next 10 years of Marvel, but also it's a prequel and just, yeah, I don't know. But I did enjoy it. I just don't think it's like, it's not what that character deserved, I think.
Interesting. Ciaran, what did you think of the film?
I think this movie's a mixed bag. I 100% agree that this movie's out of place and feels extremely out of place being released in 2021. I think this movie's much better if it's released post-Civil War. Because if you look back now, it almost feels like this was originally supposed to be there anyway, because we had that weird jump from Civil War to Infinity War, and there was not that much in between it other than, like, Black Panther, and there was nothing really about the main Avengers. And Ragnarok was there as well, wasn't it? I think Ragnarok and Black Panther, but there was nothing else about the Avengers.
Guardians 2, I think, yeah.
And Guardians 2, okay. So there was nothing in that spot that was about the Avengers storyline post-Civil War, and I feel like this was written to insert there. I went into it thinking, be like, okay, they're going to mention Budapest at some point, not expecting them to make a massive story point out of Budapest and kind of being the linchpin for the whole story. I thought the comedy was actually surprisingly really fucking good in this movie. I laughed at a lot of the stuff, and maybe that's just my humor. I completely agree that Elena stole this movie, and she was fantastic. Her quips and her comedic timing was absolutely fantastic throughout this. They fucked up Taskmaster. That is my biggest gripe with this movie.
Here's my hot take. Taskmaster is core Marvel, this like the main Marvel. It's their time. This is them doing what Fox did with Deadpool.
Oh, fucking, I was sat there thinking this when it happening, and he wasn't talking, and he was just a fucking robotic, like, fucking fighter. I was like, oh no, they're fucking Deadpool Taskmaster.
That's what I was thinking right there in the cinema, like they've Deadpooled.
Ashley, you wait your turn shaking your head about this bullshit, but Taskmaster's so fucking cool. I was so excited for Taskmaster. Taskmaster not only has this cool skill set of being a copycat fighter that learns all the Avengers moves and everything, and I was excited for it to be a reoccurring villain throughout the fucking MCU going forward. Fuck me for wanting that, eh? But like, not only that, but at the same time, Taskmaster's such a charismatic and interesting villain. They have so much narrative and dialogue potential that is really fucking interesting to that character normally throughout comic books and everything else he's in. And then it comes out and it doesn't talk. And then they use it as a narrative plot point to be the girl that she blew up in Budapest. I'm like, guys, did you really have to make this Taskmaster? You could have just made this any other fucking nameless
villain. Make it a character for this film and don't make it Taskmaster.
Make it.
They never said Taskmaster, did they?
Everything is Taskmaster. The fucking shield is
it's
Taskmaster.
Are you really going to argue it's not Taskmaster? It's Taskmaster.
No, it absolutely is. I don't think. I think they just figured Taskmaster is not going to translate properly
How
to
does
screen. We're not going to
translate? I don't understand. You think this translated better though?
It did
Just
its purpose, just being a Terminator-esque opposition.
But was it even a good Terminator-esque? I think they were shit. They were supposed to be like I was waiting for like all the fight scenes involving Taskmaster to be fucking amazing, and they were shit. They were cut really bad. The Red Guardian versus Taskmaster fight was disappointing. I'm just so frustrated that they have this character that is designed to be the ultimate foil, the most crafty foil and intelligent foil for superheroes like the Avengers, and it just nothing. Just fucking nothing. I could rant about Taskmaster and how they fucked that up for like the next 20 years.
They can just reboot Taskmaster, it's fine.
But I don't think it makes sense now that she's still alive.
They can just have somebody else be Taskmaster.
But then you go, wait, but they're the same, and then how do you, I don't know.
Just inherit the name. They're about to have Black Widow inherit the name, so...
Black Widow's inheriting the name, but I don't know. But that's the thing, they didn't make
even though they're all Black Widows, right? I don't know.
Yeah, they're all Black Widows. I just think they fucked up Taskmaster. I thought Taskmaster was terrible. I think this movie overall was good. I don't think it was amazing. Even though I'm bitching about Taskmaster, I enjoyed, like Dylan, all the family stuff. I thought all 4 members were really good in it. I thought this movie got hella fucking dark at points, which I'm glad because of the source material for Black Widow and her past is fucking dark. And I was waiting, and then the scene with the mother in her farm where the pig was not breathing, I was subconsciously holding my fucking breath, and I felt uncomfortable during that scene, and I was like, shit.
11 more seconds and you would have died.
11 more seconds you would die, but at the same time, my brain was going, she's gonna let the pig breathe again, right? She's gonna let the pig breathe again, and I'm just sat there, and I could see, like, there was just, I don't know, there was just a darkness to this movie that was hid behind the comedy that I just really enjoyed, and glad that Marvel and Disney allowed that kind of darkness to come through for Black Widow, because she does have a fucking terribly dark past. I think some of the stuff they tried to be dark with, like the whole storyline about Dragonov, or what the fuck his name is, random right. Cookie cutter Russian name. He's like, I wish they had I wish they'd kind of semi-explain how the fuck he survived that building explosion, because that is just my brain just broke for a second when they showed the explosion and everything, and I'm like, what? Okay, sure.
Pheromones.
I just think pheromones. Pheromones protected him and repelled the flames. Ashley Hobley, you should go and be a Disney and Marvel writer, because fucking hell. Also, really annoyed they skipped over the Ross meeting towards the end of the movie. Because I was like, how does... The fact that she's just, it skips to 2 weeks later, she's got short blonde hair, she's completely fine. I'm just... Like, what?
I don't mind that, because it just implies that
she beat him all up.
She's Black Widow. She escaped. She just escapes. Like, it's... You expected her to escape. I don't need to see it. I just know that she doesn't.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I really enjoy the film. I think it's sure, Taskmaster is not as great as you would have hoped, but, I don't think I don't think the enemies were honestly just there to be foils for the family unit that they built up in this film. What, Ciaran?
Sorry, I just said, then don't use Taskmaster, you fucks.
Yeah, I think, as much as we say this movie should have come out 6 years ago, it's the reason it took so long is because they needed to wait for Florence Pugh to be ready to play Helena in this film, because she is brilliant, continuing to prove that she's maybe like the brightest young star in Hollywood at the moment. Like, everything she's touched recently has turned to gold. She's fantastic. Just the relationship between her and Natasha, almost playing like weirdly like an Amy Jo Little Women-esque relationship, kind of antagonistic, but also with a layer of love and that sort of thing. And then, yeah, David Harbour and Rachel Weisz, fantastic as well. David Harbour somehow convinced that he's fought Captain America, but yet Captain America was frozen in the ice. So
he fought a Captain America.
He fought a Captain America.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier, right? That's what it's...
Yes, I would agree with that.
That's what it implies, which again is interesting that obviously this movie that should have come out 12 months ago. It
was supposed to come out before Falcon and Winter
Soldier.
Soldier.
and the Winter Soldier, which has other ties we'll get to later. But yeah, I think it's really interesting the way it starts. Obviously, it starts almost like an episode of The Americans, and then it slowly starts off as like a spy espionage thing, then slowly turns into the Marvel movie that we all know and come to expect. I freaking opening credits, like who was it? The cover of Smells Like Teen Spirit is done by.
Oh, it was haunting. It was really cool.
I had it a second ago. Hang on.
I have not looked this up.
Done by Think Up Anger, featuring Malaya J. Friggin' haunting. Like, I think that whole sequence was really interestingly put together, and felt very un-MCU-like. Because I can't think of any other one that's had an opening credit sequence like that.
Most of this movie does feel rather un-MCU, I would say, for the majority. It's only towards the end that, as you said, it gets more MCU. It's like, to me, it goes from being like Bourne Identity to Mission Impossible to MCU. Like, that's the...
Yeah, absolutely. It just simply has a progression. I think it doesn't surprise, like, it doesn't shock me that the fight sequences are maybe not the best in this film, because obviously Cate Shortland comes from a background of, like, dramas and thrillers, not like action heavy stuff. So,
well, I will say, like, as much as I say, like, I was disappointed because it's a hand to hand movie, and I just wanted more. I would say that, considering I think most action scenes and fight scenes in Marvel movies are usually pretty shit, this isn't terrible, and I would actually put it above a lot of other Marvel movies when it comes to fight scenes. Like,
it's not
the
Winter Soldier, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's still above this, yeah. Like, there was fight choreography there, and there was some really cool stuff happening. It was just the way it was edited at times that was annoying me. I will say the car chase scene, the bike car chase scene, all that sort of stuff, that was actually edited really well, and that looked really cool, because there was a lot of practical... you could tell there was just a lot of practical stunts and stuff happening there that I thought paid off well.
I think for me, the Elena and Natasha fight before that as well, I thought was really cool. I thought that was edited well enough to allow for, like, some of the big hits that you could tell stunt women took throughout that fight were given space to be seen.
There's one shot where I think Natasha gets thrown into like
thrown into a door backwards, and then she spins.
Her
to the
body
side.
just like fucking die, gets obliterated.
And I guess I think I've personally mentioned it a number of times. Thanks to Corridor Crew and their stuntmen reacts, I have a newfound appreciation for stunt people and recognizing when they take massive hits in movies a lot more than just being like, oh, it's a movie, somebody fell and hurt themselves. It was just,
there's pads.
Yeah. There was no way they could be padded in, except for maybe like light pads under their like jackets.
Under the
stuff,
jackets, yeah.
Other than that, they were fucking going hard for that fight, especially.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, fantastic. I think other than Thor Ragnarok, which is meant to be comedy-esque, and probably Guardians of the Galaxy, this might be one of the more funnier MCU films, especially if you have a sense of humor for me.
I think this movie had no right to be as funny as it was.
Yeah.
Like, I was
just because I think it's unexpectedly hilarious.
Yeah.
Which is why it works.
And it has like such a dry sense of humor throughout the entire thing.
The scene
works.
In the helicopter where
it just crashes out of nowhere.
That too, that's hilarious.
that was really good.
But when Alexei says, "Oh, is it that time of the month?" and they explain that they can't have.
See, I didn't think
month.
that was funny. I thought that was dark.
Dark.
That was
I didn't
dark
find that
humor.
funny at all.
That was dark
humor.
Just because of her like hand motions while she's explaining it. I'm just like, fucking
I was about to talk about fallopian tubes.
See, I didn't find that funny at all. I thought that was just completely fucked up.
Yeah, it is fucked up. It's fucked up, but just
I was not
so out of
And I blame all that on Joss Whedon for adding that fucking tidbit in Age of Ultron.
Well,
I don't
that's
know.
part
It might
of-
be a canon thing. I don't know.
That's canon.
In the comics.
Like, that's canon for Black Widows, like, in the comics and stuff, because, like, as I said, Black Widow, even in the comic books, has got a fucked up past. And that whole sleeper agent kind of stuff for the Red Room stuff is messed up and really dark as a whole. Surprised there was no ballet scenes in this one, though, gotta say.
It usually is in these Russian.
No Julie Delpy. Yeah.
Well, there has been in the past with the, like, Black Widow had them a number of times.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was waiting for it to happen again. And
Even if it was just a... No, was there any dances in that first montage at the start?
I don't believe so. That
Don't,
montage
yeah.
was very dark overall, of just more the...
I mean, the whole
general-
idea of him, like, him saying he's taking advantage of the resource that, like, is underappreciated, women, pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole movie is... It's... Obviously, it has, like, feminist undertones, which is why they fuck up Taskmaster. Like, I get what they're doing with that character and, like, what the point of that character is supposed to be. And, like, the whole Ray Winstone's whole character is literally supposed to be the ultimate man-controlling fucking pig piece of shit, you know? Like, I get it, but I'm like, it could have been a different character, not Taskmaster.
It could have just been anything else! Just make it look like Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe for all I care! Even though that would tie in with the movie
Don't talk
coming out.
about G.I. Joe. Don't bring up G.I. Joe. Don't bring up G.I. Joe.
It's a sore spot of the movement. Yeah, so I think we'll move into some building the MCU. So I'm going to mention a bunch of characters. I think, obviously, we don't know what's going to happen with these people, but let's just have a guess as to whether we're going to see them again in the MCU. Okay? Kicking things off, obviously, we got Florence Pugh as the Elena Belova, debuted in Inhumans number 5, March 1999, created by Devin Grayson and J.G. Jones. I think it's pretty much a given.
We're going to see her on Disney
again.
Plus.
I checked IMDb. She's credited for Hawkeye.
For Hawkeye. I was going to say, the moment that after credits scene, which I'm sure we'll talk about soon, it's like, oh, she's going to be on the Disney Plus show.
She's on IMDb for Hawkeye, so take that as you will.
Yep. Then Red Guardian debuted in Marvel The Avengers 43, August 1967, created by Roy Thomas, John Buscema, obviously played by David Harbour. We're going to see Red Guardian again.
I believe so. I think it depends on how he's received in this movie, but I loved his character, and I thought he was another fun character. I'm sure he'll get we'll see him again. I'm
going to say yes, but it's only going to be a small.
It won't be a massive part.
In something else.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got the Agent, Rick Mason, debuted in the graphic novel Rick Mason, The Agent, in 1989, created by James Hudnall and John Ridgway.
Who's the Agent?
So this played by O.T. Fagbenle, the guy that, is helping Natasha with all the stuff.
Oh, the English bloke. The English bloke.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought he was cool. I don't know if we will see him. I think they were alluding to it maybe for later. Maybe we see him in Hawkeye. But obviously he has connections if he can get hold of a Quinjet.
Yeah.
So he has to have some kind of, people.
I'm going to say no.
But I doubt it.
Then we got Milena, who's known in the comics as Iron Maiden. Debuted in Marvel Fanfare number 11, November 1983, created by Ralph Macchio and George Perez. Again, an interesting turn because obviously she's been a known Marvel villain for a long time. For her to be a good guy in this was kind of a twist, but yeah. Even though her original intention was to betray them, but yeah.
I don't think Rachel Weisz is a lockdown MCU type person, so I'm gonna say no.
I think she could be seen at the same time of the Red Guardian. Like they could be seen together at some point.
I think you got a way higher chance.
Did they end up together?
Arbor,
yes,
no,
I believe it was insinuated that they were going to.
But think about David Harbour and type of person he is. He would happily come back and do a 10-minute scene, whereas I don't think Rachel Weisz would. Like, that's just me judging
Wow.
them as
Oof. Okay.
actors.
Yikes.
I'm not saying one's bad. Like, that's just a choice.
No,
It's
you're
not
just saying you're
better
just
than
judging a character. That's all.
I am. She does like fucking a million. Like, she usually does like indie movies and stuff. You know, she's an actress. David Harbour's like,
and she can actress in like 10 minutes for an MCU movie and get a whole wad of cash for it.
no, she's not about the cash. You know.
I'm sure
Yeah,
it doesn't
same.
hurt.
This next one might be a sore spot, but Taskmaster debuted in Avengers 195, May 1980, created by David Michelin and George Perez.
Hey, look, Ash, you just called her the Taskmaster when you were trying to insinuate earlier. Oh, is she being called the Taskmaster at all? Maybe she's not the Taskmaster.
No.
I hope we don't see her ever again, even though I'm sure we will, as part of the rest of the Black Widows, which will turn up as the Black Widow squad at some point in the MCU. Fuck, but no, I just don't. Just give me a real Taskmaster. Justice for Taskmaster. We getting justice for Han.
3 years later.
Hashtag
3 years
justice.
later. 8 years later? You know, maybe she's recovered. Like, has personality.
Hashtag justice for Taskmaster.
Okay. All right. We'll start that, see how it goes. That's everyone in building the MCU. Dylan, what was the most marvelous moment of Black Widow?
Fuck, I forgot this is a segment and I hadn't thought about it. we haven't done one of these we rewatch things. Oh no, does Ciaran have an answer or else you have to give me a second?
I will actually say my most marvelous moment for this movie is the opening, because I loved how much time it was given to breathe. It was way longer than I thought most of these style of openings have been given in the MCU. I thought it was like really fucking well done and really set everything up for the rest of this movie going forward, and laying the stakes for this family and the purpose of this family unit. I don't think it's, maybe it's the obvious decision to have Natasha be part of like a Russian sleeper family or sleeper agents, but at the same time, it's really fucking interesting that they've made this move and they just set that up for this to be the rest of the movie. Ooh. They saw Fast and Furious. They were like, man, we got to make this movie about family. And that's what they did.
All right, my favorite scene and moment in this film is when they're driving the car and what's Florence Pugh's character? What's the name of the character?
Yelena.
Yelena starts going on about how she's got this really cool jacket with all these
the
pockets
vest.
in it. It's such a cool vest because it's got all these pockets. And I think that was my favorite. That was my favorite. Like even that, or just the back and forth in the.
Do we see that vest again?
Yeah.
No, think back.
All that in the petrol station where she's doing like the superhero landing thing and making fun of it. That was also quite good.
And then she does it later on, and then she's like disgusting. Like she's like,
yes.
She's like gross. I think a lot of her lines could be quoted as vest. I do like that it didn't click for me what that vest was until the end when she gives it to Natasha, and I'm like, holy fuck, that's the vest. She wears that vest like a lot in the coming movies. Like, okay, sure. But
it's Solo with the dice.
But I will say, maybe the funniest like non-purpose moment of funny was Natasha's car getting hit by that rocket. I was sat like fairly back in the cinema.
I jumped.
Out of nowhere.
I saw everybody jump in my cinema, and I was like, "That's hilarious."
And I was sitting there waiting for something to go wrong. You know when you're like expecting it, and you're like, "All right, what the fuck is it going to be?" And I was still like, "Oh."
Yeah.
How about you, Ashley?
I'll admit that it was that, and the light suddenly coming on when they're about to raid the house.
No,
that made me jump. Yeah. Just some bright light. I think that chart casing.
Just quickly adding to that bit with the light coming on. How comically it was done of the Red Guardian's chest just being filled with those fucking tranquilizers. I was like, the fuck?
They're so stupid. They think one.
Like just the sound design and everything.
There are ones in the wall as well behind him.
They think one measly tranquilizer can stun me.
I think that car chase sequence with the the Taskmaster in a massive tank that's taking out every single car possible.
I will say, another thing I had to turn my brain off in an MCU movie was the physics around that car. The first, like, sharp turn it does when they're first jumping on the bike was just like, the fuck is going on? That car is on, like, just turned on like a dime and didn't have any momentum to it. I was like, okay, sure, we're going wacky.
You know, and then when she knocks off the door, you're welcome. Fantastic. Really great scene. Yeah, was there anything else you guys wanted to talk about? Do you feel... Yeah. Do you want to just jump to the post-credits? Anything else from the bulk? Do you feel like it filled in enough of Natasha's... Do you think this will play better on a chronological rewatch now? Do you think you can watch this before Endgame, before Infinity War?
Yeah,
and you feel more for Natasha?
Yeah,
and also
so. Obviously not watching the post-credits sequence.
I mean, also just rewatching the movie, it's got expectations always in check or whatever, and you know what you're expecting out of it, and you can just, like, when we did all the MCU rewatch for this podcast, I could enjoy the movies that I already knew I disliked, and I still disliked some of them the same amount, but they were, like, still just easier watches because I already knew that they were disappointments or I didn't particularly like them. Like, even for The Dark World, I could watch that and just knew what it was and whatever. So, of course, it's always going to be easier to watch these sorts of things, but I don't think it suddenly makes the placement of this movie and the fact that they decided to give her a solo movie after the character died, like, there's just no fixing that. There's just no way you can fix that.
All right. Let's jump into the post-credit sequence. I will say, like, Ciaran brought it up to me before we started recording. Like, hard cut to credits. Like, hard...
Yeah, so...
Normal credits.
While you were all talking before, I did post a quick article on the website and about the after credit scene, and I did note in that, I'm like, it feels like because this is the start of the next
phase,
whatever the phase or the whole, like, reset. It's almost like they've reset the after credit sequences. They're like, hey, remember when you didn't know these were things? And you remember the first time you sat all the way to the end of Incredible Hulk and you, like, saw Robert Downey Jr. show up or something like that. You know, like, this is what this felt like, because there's no flashy credit sequence with the characters.
I think it's because they did the opening. That's why.
Either way, one after credit scene, no flashy credits, only one. You have to go all the way to the end of the movie. Like, it felt like a hard reset for the after credit scenes. And I mean, still, it's fine because it was a really good after credit scene. But yeah, it did stand out that it went straight to normal credits. I'm like, this isn't a normal movie. How dare you go to straight to normal credits?
I was like, motherfuckers, you're supposed to have, if you're going to do an after credit scene, I've been pampered to the point where I know there's, like, a shorter version of the credits I can watch. Then the after credit scene happens, and then I can fuck off home if there's not another one.
They've had a formula of flashy credit scene straight after the movie. Then after that, the after credit scene is usually the important one setting up the next MCU movie. Then it goes to normal credits, and then after the normal credits,
it's like
a short, funny, gag one. Yeah.
But no, obviously, end of the film. For people who didn't stay around to the end of the credits, I guess we'll just lay it out for you. Yelena visits the grave of Natasha with a dog. She got a dog. You know, very important. You know, and she gets visited by Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Allegra, Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. You right, Jella?
Yeah, that's fine.
Who has a terrible cold and should probably be in isolation if she's blowing her nose.
She's got fucking COVID. Jesus Christ.
And pretty much is there to give Yelena her next target, who is Hawkeye, the man responsible for Natasha's death, apparently. How do we feel about that?
It's. I'd like to know how Yelena got to this point, because I kind of felt like her run-in with Natasha and everything would have set her on the straight and narrow, but she seems to be working for a shadier organization. So maybe she's just... It has been 8
money.
Years, so...
Being a superhero doesn't pay. Well, you know that
There is important things to throw in here, which is we've actually already seen this character, even though we wasn't supposed to. Without COVID, this would have been her first appearance, but we've seen her already because she shows up in Falcon and Winter Soldier, of course. And in that, although as an audience you're still like dubious, she doesn't seem like a good person, and in this, dubious, she doesn't seem like a good person. However, in Falcon and Winter Soldier, they still play her off as, and she plays off old dippy $2 Captain America, and she tricks him into being like, I'm also putting together a team of good guys, come work for me. So maybe she's done the same to her, because like she's not directly a bad guy in Falcon and Winter Soldier. You feel like she probably is a bad guy, but she's not yet. You know, even though
it feels like she's building like a Dark Avengers team or something like that.
Yeah.
But then obviously there's going to be calling it now, there's going to be a whole fight scene between Kate Bishop and Yelena in Hawkeye, maybe multiple as their rivalry. I think it's interesting because obviously Yelena is aware of Clint Barton because he's mentioned in this movie.
Yes, a
very
lot.
Poignantly, and
like
several.
What kind of bullets
make
make those marks? The arrows.
Make those arrows. Yep. Mm.
And me and Clint hid up here for 13 days or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't. Yeah. So it's weird where I'm like, does she not understand the relationship that Natasha and Clint had? Yeah, probably. They probably didn't get much time to talk post this movie. So maybe they didn't just have a heart to heart and be like, hey, Clint, he's my best boy, you know, he's my homie, he got my back, don't hurt him ever.
But he killed him.
He did turn on us once, but he was being mind controlled like you were, so.
Yep, same thing. But also at the same time, this is the Clint Barton that is post Ronin, and the picture used of him was a Ronin picture, so I would presume that this is got something to do with that his history of being Ronin throughout the blip period is going to be where I think the reasoning for her being sent after him.
So there's some sort of justification for her going after him, like morally. Like,
she was hired by the Yakuza.
He was killing him. Yeah.
For whoever he killed in Endgame, or something like that. I
don't know. So what do we expect? Marvel would be stupid not to pitch their wagon to Florence Pugh and have a bunch full on have Yelena show up in a bunch of stuff going forward. Am I wrong in saying that?
No, you're not wrong.
You're not wrong, and I feel like she just takes over Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow role in up and coming mainline Avengers movies and team up movies and everything. Anything that we would normally expect Scarlett Johansson to be in, it'll be her going forward.
What they're building, this young Avengers or whatever Avengers cast is what they're building, basically, right? Like they've got so many more younger people. Like the people coming into the MCU now are so much more younger than the core Avengers cast were originally
at the start.
Yeah, so they're definitely building a much younger team, and she's going to be part of whatever that ends up being, is what I'd say. So then you're going to have a young Avengers team. I'm not saying that's what it's called, but just like literally a young Avengers team. Dark Avengers, Secret Avengers, whatever. And then you're going to have whatever the core team is with Captain America, played by Anthony Mackie, and Bucky still there, and Ant-Man, who, like that. You've still got them around being a team, but I think you're going to have this separate team of the younger cast that, are doing their own thing or eventually overtake, and they can all team up in a big event movie, of course.
Yeah,
that's still a thing, but that's what I think the general direction is. It's not to have her team up with Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan and whoever else. I don't think like that will happen, but I don't think that's the main. I think she will, but I don't think that's the main purpose of the character, and I don't think she should either, because then it is literally going, hey, you're literally replacing Scarlett Johansson, literally filling her spot on this team, and I think that is complete waste, and that's literally retrading steps. Dumb. So don't do that.
No, but I think obviously she's a different character and has different baggage,
and she's not that quote unquote young. Like I guess she is 10 years.
Florence Pugh is born.
Sorry.
She's younger than you.
No. I'm not talking about just Florence Pugh, but like, so in the first section, that took place in what, 1995,
I think.
Which is, and she was like,
6.
and that character was 6 at that point. Was fairly young at that point. So she's older than me in this movie.
I know, but I'm saying like the actual cast. If you look,
I know the cast itself is, but I'm just saying her
who
character.
the fuck's playing Kate Bishop? What's her face?
Haley Steinfeld.
Haley Steinfeld. She's fucking. How old is she? Like 12? I mean, obviously not. But
like 12.
oh, actually, I think she's. I swear she might be the same age. Hold on, let me. So Haley Steinfeld
She's 24.
is born 1996. Florence Pugh is born 1996. They're casting only actors from 1996 for an Avengers team they're going to call Avengers 96. Why are you laughing?
I don't think that's...
Why are you laughing? I've got proof.
What's
Tom Holland is
what
like
the
Tom
fuck's... Who replaced Ant-Man's... What's Ant-Man... What's her
Newton.
name? Yep, Catherine Newton. Yep, that's the one. What's her...
Born 97. So...
He's cracking the shit. He's cracking the scene. Oh my god, Dylan. Dylan, put your headphones back on. Put the headphones on. Put him on. He's looked like he might have. He's just checking the program. Guess what? Tom Holland, born 1996.
Yeah, Tom Holland doesn't count. No, he's not. He was already there. I was looking at new people. But why Catherine Newton fucking would be like, oh, I'm in the Pokemon movie. Why she would fuck me like this is beyond me.
I mean, she's February, so I mean, she's very early 1997. But
fucking hell. She.
Last couple of things. I was surprised by the twist that Rachel Weisz and Scarlett Johansson have swapped places. I didn't see that coming.
Mission Impossible, baby.
Mission Impossible.
Yeah, and again, this is another thing that like Falcon and the Winter Soldier kind of spoiled.
Set up.
Because I even saw, like, obviously they had the head holders in her cupboard. I'm like, oh yeah, that's the thing. That's probably going to come into play.
Does that
And
make
then,
you think, like-
then I didn't see it coming.
Yeah, doesn't it make you think we'd watch these things in the correct order when they'd done it, like in that, or if you'd seen Julia Louis-Dreyfus? Like, it just makes me wonder how differently some of these moments and cameos and stuff would have played if we'd got these things in the correct order. It's so weird.
It would have been, yeah, interesting. Because obviously we still wouldn't... She only calls her Allegra. Like, we'd all have to jump to the conclusion of who exactly that was. But
she introduces herself properly in Falcon
and the Winter Soldier.
Uh-huh.
Okay, anything else you guys want to talk about? Any other classic moments?
Did I mishear that there was rumors about RDJ in this movie? Or was that just like a bad rumor or something?
There was a story going around this morning that he unfollowed the whole Marvel cast on Twitter for some reason. If you want to talk about RDJ.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
He doesn't want any spoilers, that's what it is.
So then everyone was taking that as him coming back, and it's all part of some ploy. So
he's got to wipe himself so he can
I have no fucking idea. My last note in the movie, good soundtrack.
Yeah. Not many songs, though.
Nice.
Well, but the actual score.
The actual score I thought was good.
The score very much carried the tone and the theme of the movie as a whole, which I thought was really good.
I also enjoyed Yelena's running gag of, this would be a good place to die. This would be...
And then at the end she's like, this would not be a good place to die.
Fantastic.
Oh, yeah. As a Florence Pugh stan here, admit if you're not Florence Pugh stan, very happy with this movie,
Yeah. Florence Pugh's star is rising.
I was here from the beginning. These are all a bunch of poses. Like,
really? Were you here at the Little Drummer Boy point? Were you here at whatever at the start of her career? No, you just jumped in at Midsummer and did act like you've been there since the beginning.
To be fair, I think most people jumped in at Midsummer.
That's what most people did. Yes.
We're not mainstream cinema audience.
All right, let's know what you thought of Black Widow by jumping onto Twitter. You can find all of us on Twitter by going to explosioner.com/Twitter or jump to our Discord at explosioner.com/Discord. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Podcasts and help us out. If you thought this episode was worth $1, head on over to our Ko-fi page at explosion.com/support. Leave us as little as $1. Thank you very much for listening. Join us next time for Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings for another all-new Marvel cast.
Before we go off, man, that Stan Lee intro hits so fucking hard every time I watch it.
What the was that something that's been on the internet already? Or was that just posted for this movie?
No, that released when they released all the trailers during whatever Disney Week or whatever it was a while ago.
I don't recall seeing it, but yeah.
But that shit hits hard. When it came on, I was like, oh boy, I'm not ready to have these feels in the middle of the cinema just yet. This is supposed to be where I'm relaxed.
That's where you're supposed to have the feels.
I know, but the fucking man, that Stanley monologue gives me chills every time I hear it. It's really fucking good. You can sign off now.
Bye.